All right, in the next step, let's talk about how to incorporate variables into the HTML file. All right, so continuing with the one we were on, for instance. Okay, we set this all up, figured out our cities and our keywords and commercial residential. We created three columns. Okay, so we have three variable columns here, var1, var2, var3. And we can use those in any combination, any number of times on the pages. So first things first, let's see how to do that. And that would be like this. Here's the page. Now I can do something like edit it, open it with Notepad. Or if you have Dreamweaver, you can open it with Dreamweaver. It's so much easier to read the page in Dreamweaver, that's for sure. So for the guy, and by the way, Adobe has rental programs for everything now. Dreamweaver, Photoshop, whatever. You can rent these things for like 10 bucks a month. You know, but when you do it this way, take a look. I can highlight something and it takes me right there in the coding. I can physically see it, right? I can click on something else and it takes me right there in the coding, so I understand what I'm doing, you know. And so I can go down and just start working with stuff. Okay. And I can type over things. Okay, what do you think I would start with? Well, the company name's a company name, okay? Since 1982, serving Goshen, Indiana, and the surrounding areas. I want to create a page for each geo-target. And so I might just, since 1982, I might take it out of this. I'll leave it on their main page. And I might just say serving. But then instead of Goshen, Indiana, what do I want? I want that var1 now, don't I? I want var1. So in effect, that's what I'm doing. I'm going to put that down. I'm going to say var1, except one more thing. On HTML, on the HTML side of the house, we have to make this into a token. Okay, token is used everywhere. Google uses tokens. Everybody uses tokens. There are even tokens for AdWords. Okay, tokens are used everywhere. So how does a token look? Well, here's the idea. You kind of want to say, hey, this is not really text, right? You sort of want to say, this isn't text. It's a variable. But how's the system supposed to know that? Well, you have to mark it somehow. You have to demarcate it, right? And that's not going to work, double quotes. I mean, there's double quotes around stuff down here, so that's not going to work. So we have to go a little further than that. We have to say, well, what? We kind of want to say, all right, this is what I mean. It was like, well, that doesn't work either. Everybody uses brackets. You say, well, can I use something else? And the answer is yeah, a combination of things, because people will be like, well, what am I supposed to do then? And the answer is use a combination of things that you would never use in print normally. It would just not come up because it's not standard. And this is what they came up with for tokens. Open bracket, percentage sign. And then that goes on until the token ends. It's how they know that that token has ended. And that's going to be a percentage sign close bracket. See? So as weird as this may look, it's pretty readable in the end. The percent signs make it pretty easy to read the interior, which is whatever the name is of the token. In this case, var1. Got it? Now, everywhere I want to use var1 on the page, I can just copy this because this is exactly that thing. It's going to copy the var1 part. And now I can use it wherever I need. Like, for instance, let me just start at the beginning. Because in the beginning, there's got to be a title tag up in here somewhere. So if I just kind of scan eyeballing it, or if I just do a search, control find, and I want to find title in the source code, not the text, but the source code, I'm looking for the word title in the current document. That's the one I'm on. Current document, source code, look for title. I don't need to replace it with anything. I just want to find the word title. Ignore white spaces. Usually best to leave check marked. It makes the most sense. All right, I don't want to replace anything. I'm just going to find the next one. So I put my cursor at the top. So I already know it's not before my cursor, so let me find next. There it is. Title tag. So it goes from the beginning of the title until the end of the title, right? That's how I know that's the title tag. Now, in case you don't know, this is incredibly important, the title tag, right? That is specifically what makes your page, what you first see when you do a search on Google and you see the blue clickable links. The thing that you're being shown, the keywords you're being shown, of course, is that title tag, long as it exists, and it should exist for everybody. Anybody not having it, that's a mistake. Elkhart Plumber. Okay, there it is. This is the title tag. And the way you decide what's being said here, because Google does not decide this really, you decide this. You decide what your title tag is. And the way you do it is specifically on the page. What comes between the opening title tag and the ending title tag is exactly that thing that Google's going to show. Why is it important? It is your first chance to sell somebody something. This is the first impression you get to make. It is the thing that you want to show up for the keywords, okay? You want to match the keyword as much as possible so it feels like something somebody was searching for. Elkhart Plumber. I mean, that's pretty generic. But if I was getting more specific, I don't know, Mishawaka leaky faucet, residential leaky faucet, and I'm doing a search for Mishawaka residential leaky faucet, I really want to see results that say things like Mishawaka residential leaky faucet. Right? The more of that, the merrier, right? That's how important these are, because if this doesn't say Mishawaka residential leaky faucet, but this one does, I'm clicking this one and this guy's losing all the sales. This guy's getting them. You get the point? That's the reality check. Never think that it has to do with where you're placed on the page. In the old days, everyone said, well, being number one is how you get paid tons. We've seen guys who are number one for lots and lots of keywords. As a matter of fact, you're number one for lots of keywords. Maybe keywords that people search for. But if you're not saying what they're thinking and the guys surrounding you are, you just never even find out that this is happening, because guys don't think of you. They think of what they were searching for. Huge difference. Okay. All right. Having said that, all right. So I want to make sure to get my Vars up in here. Well, what's it say? If I want to do it, I have to do it. Griffin Plumbing and Heating, HVAC Plumbing, and here we go. Goshen, Elkhart, Indiana. Okay, I'm just going to straight use my var 1 there. So I'm going to replace this whole Goshen, Elkhart, Indiana with var 1. Control V. See it? I just did it. I have a space before it in this case, but I don't have to have one. I'm just doing it for the proper readability of it all. So I'm preserving the pipe, and then there's a space, and then there's my global variable, and immediately after that there's no space anymore, because it doesn't need a space. You can exactly use this exactly wherever it's supposed to be. If you had like the end of some coding right here or something, then yeah, that var can get smashed right after that. That's no problem. Okay, just so you know. So don't worry about white space. It's good. Now, let's step down to the next piece. There's the title tag. What else is there that we really care about? Well, check this out. There's meta name equals title. This is silly. For anyone that knows better, there is no such thing, or at least there need be no such thing as meta name equals title like this, right? I could delete it, but instead of just deleting it, let's just say you don't know that. And so what could you do? Well, here's what you're seeing again. Goshen, Elkhart, Indiana. So you know what? I'm going to replace it with var 1. Okay. And the meta name description. Here we go. Griffin Plumbing and Heating has served Elkhart, Goshen, right? Has served. I'm going to put my var 1 again, because they have. They have served Granger. They have served Mishawaka. They have served Goshen, South Bend, Niles. Whether anyone came or not, whether anyone bought from them or not, they have served it. And the surrounding region. So like, Kalamazoo, Michigan, and the surrounding region. Warsaw and the surrounding region. Niles and the surrounding region. Why? Because all of these surround each other. That's why. Okay? So it's cool. Since 1982 with comprehensive. Okay, great. But if I want, I can even tighten that up to be more exacting to what I'm after. Has served residential, var 1 is the city, and I might just say residential clients, by taking care of their var 2, whatever, or just residential clients. Maybe that's all I need in the meta description. Okay. Okay, so I will say it. I'm going to say var 2. So I'll just paste in var 1 again, but this time put a var 2. Do I have a space between var 1 and var 2? Yeah, complete with the tokens, right? Has served var 1, var 2, and what's it going to say? Has served any one of these, followed by any one of those. Oh, not var 2. I'm sorry, var 3. That's what I need, var 3. Has served Plymouth, Indiana. Better get rid of that pipe. Yeah, has served Plymouth, Indiana residential what? You know, Sturgis, Michigan commercial what? How about clients, right? Or customers, okay? Customers probably. You could say clients. It's up to you. Oh, as a matter of fact, guess what? How many of you have thought this way? You could do this. You could create a var for, and I'm only doing this by now so you get the idea of what vars are. Customers and clients. That way you make the page read just a little more interestingly. So I could copy my var 3, you know, and double click and paste and make that a var 4. And guess what? I just did it. Okay. So now, as long as all the combinations look good to you, they're going to be good. Again, it does not matter what the order is of these things. I could have var 1 at the end. It doesn't matter. You know why? Because it's just going to paste. But again, if I do, I cannot have a hole like this in the array. Delete. Okay. It's just simply going to find and match. Griffin Plumber and Heating has served var 1, like Granger, var 3, residential, var 4, customers. Okay, and it's going to be any combination of those. Has served Benton Harbor commercial clients, right? Kalamazoo commercial customers, you know, Warsaw residential clients, okay? That's how that works. Now, keep in mind, I've been using var 1 in several places. Yes, whenever it produces each next page, it will use the same var 1 over and over again, the same var 2 over and over again, the same var 3 and var 4 over and over again on that page, okay? Important to understand because you don't want the pages to mix and match these things. You don't want the first var 1 to say Goshen and the second var 1 down somewhere else to say something else like, you know, Warsaw, right? We don't want that to happen. You know, we want them to match. If we want the page to talk about a certain keyword, we want to put the keyword in as many times as we want to put it in for whatever keyword density. And if the keyword is a combination of two things, then it's cool. I want to use the combination of those things. Okay. So there's that idea, right? And that's cool because it allows us to really control what we're doing. So by the way, what can vars be? The answer is stinking anything on the page. If I just like swiped madly and literally cut things off in the middle, okay, and I just said Control X, I mean, I just broke that, didn't I? I mean, flatly broke that. It's giving me an error and everything, right? And I pasted in here, and I call this thing like var 5, okay? And that's the only variable possible, right? Because it's the only thing that would work here as far as I'm aware, then yes, I can make this var 5. And even though this thinks there's an error, there is no error. Because when the pages get run, this will come out perfectly fine. I did not put a space before or after because there's no space before or after this. Do you get it? Okay. Now that's just plain silly. There's no need for that. But that's what I mean. Anything on the page can be a var. Now, that really opens you wide. You can use different style sheets. You can use different images. You can use different links. You can use different anchor text. Whatever you want to do. That many combinations are completely available to you, and that's exactly how far you can take the whole thing. Okay. Now, having said that, I don't want to be silly and confusing. So let me get rid of this whole, you know, var 5 concept, right? Just sort of go back to where I was. Okay. I don't mean to be crazy like that. But yes, if you had like a CSS file in here that's supposed to be whatever style.css, and if it's not, then it's probably layout.css after all, or superfish.css. Okay, there's these things. And you wanted to create variations on your CSS files and create like a superfish1.css, superfish2.css, then you can make that a var. So if superfish was superfish1, superfish2, that would be my var. That could be my var 5 right there. And it would be superfish1, 2, 3, whatever. If I make it superfish.css, then yeah, that's my var. Var, whatever it is going to be superfish1 .css, superfish2.css. If I do not put the .css on my on my CSV file, then of course I need that .css up here in the link, right? The link. And just to make that clear, okay, Control C, copy, okay. Here's what I'm gonna do now, var5, just the last thing, and then we're gonna break this off and get in and talk more strategy. Superfish.css. Maybe what I really want to do is create a couple of variables, okay? For those of you guys that actually understand the value of this, because you can like set different page colors and settings for your website. You just want to do split tests. You want to create 1,000 pages and see whether the blue pages perform better or the red ones or the green or the yellow, hot colors, cold colors, the one that gives off this feel and this image or the one that gives off that one. And you got visitor tracking and you're watching how long people stay on the pages on average. And you can click the links that they were on to see if they're predominantly on a blue page or a red one or a green one or a gray one or whatever it is. Right? You can do that. So with that in mind, Control C, I can put my var5 here, but remember, it's in the coding, and since it's in the coding, I've got to make it a token. Okay, so make it a token. And there you go. And that's a match. Okay, that will work. That var5 will match with these things. Okay, it just will work. And remember, this is the last point I want to make about that. If I did not have a .css in here, let me control and delete .css from the highlighted selection. Okay. If I didn't have it in here, then of course it's got to be here at the end of the tag, right? I mean, it has to be .css here, right? And the only way that I can really get away with that is if it would just always apply. It would always be the very next thing. .css, 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 right? But there you go, it would. And so this can work. This can certainly work. It's legitimate. Okay? All right. And again, just to avoid confusion, let's step out of that. You know, all you advanced guys, you already saw it. You already understood. You already realized what it meant. Save all. And for the rest of you, you don't need to know it. You know, you don't need to know it. You can make great money without knowing that. Okay? So let me just go ahead and close this thing out. I don't know if you want me to put the column back to keep it from being confusing just because it's easier to read. You probably do stuff in reading order anyway, so let me just do it that way, right? So I'll just cut this and insert it, okay? There we go. All right, I'm going to go on to the next topic so you can kind of think about this one real quick. We'll do more practice and so forth, obviously, as we go. Okay,